Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Bob Reddings of the Bob Reddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station, and the show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and I'm excited for this next conversation. It's going to be about how the intersection of art, science, and technology is reshaping our communities, and we'll be talking about that through the lens of horticulture. And our guest in this segment is, appropriately so, Andrew Holsinger, a horticulture educator with the University of Illinois Extension. Andrew, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. And first, just talk about what you mean overall by the intersection of art, science, and technology.
Well, landscape design can have an effect on our environment. And, you want an artistic perspective of when you're designing plants, that they have that aesthetic appeal and that they look good. But then there's a lot of science that goes behind where plants are put, and technology and monitoring the weather and seeing what kind of zones the plants are adapted to, picking out the right cultivars for your particular area in your landscape. So it is good to have a focus of landscape design and kind of the planning whenever you're putting the landscape design together. Will put it in perspective to where you're thinking about maybe the future of the climate and the adaptability of different plants.
And with all that you described there, I mean, it sounds like a lot. And so it seems to me like it goes beyond just, making things look pretty. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, there's, we have the focus on pollinators and providing the environment for pollinators to thrive. And, there's scientific monitoring, data collection, citizen science-ship, where people are looking to do counts of the bees and the pollinators and to see if they are thriving or not. And we can provide a good habitat for the pollinators through our process of landscape design.
And in terms of all of that, I think it's also worth looking at, the reason for this and why, the landscape design and its process is so, important for sustainability and so important, nowadays.
And we all have an important part to have good environmental stewardship. We're leaving our land for the next generation that's coming, and with that, it takes a lot of planning and design. We have these built spaces and development of natural environments. We can see how the evolution of time, Illinois used to be expansive with the amount of prairie plants and the amount of prairie that Illinois had, but it's been reduced to just some remnants. But there's efforts to kind of reclaim some of those natural landscapes and use of native plants and the benefits that they have.
And, one of the important things that, a lot of folks in horticulture talk about is rain gardens, and it's something that the university is working at. Landscape professionals are as well. Talk about how they actually work.
Yeah, the premise of a rain garden, there may be areas in the landscape that can become inundated with water, but they do more than just have a place for storage of water. It's also an effort to filter that water. So a lot of the areas where water may collect, like if you have a large parking lot, well, you have the pollutants that may come from the vehicles that would ordinarily go into the sewer system, but with a properly designed rain garden, or sometimes there's the use of a bioswale, that helps to work as a natural filter and remove some of those impurities. soak up the excess water and create an environment that's more suitable to both us and the reduction of pollutants for the environment.
You mentioned bioswales. I've never heard of that term before. What is that more specifically?
Well, in simple terms, like if you excavated some soil and then made a mound of soil, it allows that water to basically have a berm, and so it helps to direct the flow of water, and it also has the biological part of it, or the aspect is that there's plantings that are made on these berms that help also to be a natural filter to remove the pollutants and such.
So it sounds like these systems are in place at a variety of places. It feels almost like a kind of a natural playground in a sense, and that it also has like an ecological and environmental function. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, these are sometimes pretty large and expansive plantings that they have in urban areas, but they also work at a smaller scale near some of our small towns. I know there's a number of smaller communities in our area that, with our rainfalls, there's been quite a few that have had flooding and other issues. And using some of this landscape architecture, landscape design, we can help to understand these issues with solutions that can work by using plants.
And then in terms of some of those factors that architects or whomever would look into for having a sustainable kind of drainage system, what are some of those key points?
Yeah, you look at the topography and seeing where the slope of water flows. You can look at the existing vegetation and the use of, maybe if you're doing it in your home landscape, looking at where the water is draining. Look for those drainage patterns where that water naturally collects, and then maybe have some buffering aspect. If you have sensitive areas, maybe you are a beekeeper and want to have kind of a buffer to help protect those pollinators, those bees, well, you can provide some pollinator plants as a buffer as well.
And this all sounds like you could say like an element of infrastructure, like other elements of infrastructure we talk about. Is that how you and architects like this look at this sort of thing?
Yeah, I've seen close to rivers. There's a predominance of some of these practices implemented, but it goes. The water that leaves here is going to eventually end up in a river somewhere, a lake, a stream. It's just the natural process of the way watersheds work. And we have some University of Illinois Extension programs that have been developed to focus on the watershed and to understand more about it. We also have some examples of water management with the Red Oak Rain Garden on campus. It's a pretty substantial rain garden. It had its failures in the past, and so the science and the data, the practicality of it comes forth to find principles of design that are going to be effective and to even put those on at a local level. So the Red Oak Rain Garden has a website where they have a listing of the plants that are planted, and you could use that as a good guide to implement some of those practices or pick out some of those selections of plants for your own backyard.
And that is something I actually would love to get into on the other side of a break here. I'm talking with Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator at the University of Illinois Extension. Like I mentioned there, when we come back, we'll talk about how you can design your own oasis in in and around your own home if you're thinking about maybe taking up some of these practices as well. And that'll be coming up right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Let's check in on the markets. I'm Colin Shope with the RFD Radio Network. September corn at $4.51, down 6. December corn at $4.75, down 5 3/4. And March corn is at $4.91, down 5 1/2. Moving to soybeans, September soybeans at $11.65 3/4, up 1/2. January soybeans at $11.99 1/4, up 1/4. September wheat is at $6.62 1/2, up 9 3/4. KC wheat at $7.31 1/4, up 10 1/2. Moving now to livestock. October live cattle is at $2.20 3/4, down 2 3/4. September feeder cattle at $3.35 1/2, down 3 3/4. October lean hogs at $81 3/4, down 1 1/2. December hogs at $73 1/4, down 1 1/2. This has been the market update on the RFD Radio Network.
Parents, get your kids ready for the new school year with help from the Christian County Health Department. Now at 730 North Pawnee, across from Taylorville Junior High School. They offer back-to-school immunizations for children entering kindergarten, 6th, 11th, or 12th grade at little or no cost. And while you're there, ask about fluoride treatments to help prevent tooth decay in children and youth. Make your kid's appointment now so they're ready for school. It's just another way the Christian County Health Department is working to protect, assure, and improve public health in our community.
Nicole Patrick here, your local country financial representative at 1305 West Bresser in Taylorville. I'm proud to recognize the Lady Tornado student athletes that represent our community by being the exclusive sponsor of the ILSportswire.com Taylorville Lady Tornadoes Player of the Game this school year. At the end of each game, a Lady Tornado will be selected to receive a certificate for being named our Player of the Game, and they'll be featured in a highlighted reel on the ILSportswire.com social media platforms. Best of luck to all the girls' teams this season, and go Lady Tornadoes!
Finding a local job in Central Illinois has never been easier. Don't waste time driving far or spending too much on gas. Visit IllinoisJobPost.com. It's your one-stop site to find local, full-time, and part-time job openings. Best of all, it's completely free for job seekers to access anytime, day or night. So if you're ready to land a job close to home, make IllinoisJobPost.com your first stop. That's IllinoisJobPost.com. Brought to you by your friends at the regional radio station.
Perry Stampa here, owner of Central Illinois Truck Service, just off I-70 in Greenville. Let us repair your diesel engines with state-of-the-art equipment, a brand new facility, and certified technicians. Find out more by clicking our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
SIU Center for Family Medicine is here to help with back-to-school and sports physicals. Healthy kids learn better and play harder. Call 217-824-1134 today to schedule your appointment. That's 217-824-1134. SIU Medicine. Forward for you.
WTIM.
And we're back on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kim, and I've been talking with horticulture educator at the University of Illinois Extension, Andrew Holsinger, on landscape stewardship and a lot of the components that come with that. I want to kind of zoom in a little bit on what a homeowner could do in and around their own home. And if someone were to, want to implement these sort of sustainability efforts in their own landscape, Andrew, where would they start?
Well, it isn't too difficult to get started whenever you're dealing with planning the landscape. One of the things you're first going to do is kind of do an analysis and a site inventory and see what you have to work with. We also have classes we've had in the past and could in the future on landscape design methods, and it's gathering your tools and putting the essentials together, like pencils and erasers, tracing paper or graph paper. You want to try to keep things to scale, so using a ruler. Colored pencils or markers are good for rendering, helps you to visualize. There's a lot of technology there with computers to where you can implement and look at what the various plants would look like. But once you have your tools together, you're going to want to, like if you're building a rain garden, you're going to want to strategize, identify those high points and low points, figure out where your directional water is going to flow across your yard, and do all the things to find that prime location for a rain garden, and also do some calculations for how big that rain garden would need to be based on the area, like the coverage of your roof with the square footage.
And that makes sense with all the water that would end up on there. So we've got the tools, we've got high points and low points. Anything else that a homeowner should prioritize?
Protecting existing trees, looking at the mature size of trees, planting trees where they will provide shade for the home is beneficial. Try to minimize the earth you're moving, getting a soil test done and finding out what you have to work with, and maybe selecting your plants based on the soil that's there, and choosing multi-purpose plants. As I said, those shade trees block the summer sun. Perennials can provide a ground cover. We can also have some ground stabilization whenever it comes to plants to help retain, near like lakes and areas where there is water.
And then there's also this concept, I understand, of outdoor rooms. Talk about that, how that fits into sustainability.
Yeah, it's nice to develop a landscape where you kind of have a sanctuary, maybe a place to escape. You create that outdoor room. You're going to use some high quality materials, maybe some simple plantings, reducing the amount of maintenance of a high maintenance lawn. You don't want to be out there, spending the whole summer mowing a lawn per se. If you could transform that space into one where you could sit back and relax and watch the plants grow that you don't have to mow. So there is consideration depending on the use of the space, and developing an outdoor room, maybe with some sensory aspects to it, is a great idea.
And then in terms of what, some of the design elements, maybe what some of those physical components would be for having that sustainable landscape and things that a homeowner might want to look into. What are some of those elements?
Yeah, your shade trees, provide that cooling of the shade. Boulders, you create that natural seating and a climbing area for your children. Native shrubs require less water, provide that habitat for local wildlife. And there's even permeable paving where the water can soak into the ground rather than running off. And there's all kinds of methods of sustainability. So be on the lookout for sustainable ideas and methods that you could use in your own landscape.
And with about 90 seconds to go, and it sounds like, part of this is about, making the land look good, but it seems like it's about just, taking care of the land for the long term and, just being a good steward to it. Does that sound about right?
That's very much so the correct perspective.
Yeah. And then if folks want to, learn more about this or about, the Uni of Illinois' climate data, sustainability efforts, anything like that, where can they go?
Yeah, our state climatologist has a website, stateclimatologist.web.illinois.edu. There's lots of information there. We have many resources. The Red Oak Rain Garden, as I mentioned, has a website. Our main extension page, extension.illinois.edu. If you have further questions, you can send me an email, aholsang@illinois.edu.
All right. So plenty of places to go to get some information on this really interesting topic here today. Andrew Holsinger, horticulture educator at the University of Illinois Extension. Andrew, thanks again for joining us.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
And something else I want to plug as well, the American Society of Landscape Architects, they've got some resources as well. Want to make sure to mention that too. Thanks so much for joining us here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. We'll be back tomorrow with another broadcast here, so don't forget about that. Have a great day.
The Big 870 WTIM Assumption Taylorville.
96.1 FM Taylorville.
107.5 FM Shelbyville.
107.9 FM Peanut.